This
Yeah.
is just from what I heard.
Right.
But, you know, Tarantino was telling us about this old school Hollywood producer who
Yeah.
had a bedroom in his office.
Sure.
So you would go into his office, and
Yeah.
this is like, you know, in the 60s or whatever. So he had his office, and then he had a whole bedroom
Right.
in his studio
Yeah.
where he would bang all the starlets. Like,
Yeah.
if you wanted to be a star,
This
you
is
had
it.
to bang that guy. Which
Well-
is just the deal with the devil that has always been that business.
That's always been there. There's always been there. It's like why people start cults.
yeah.
They always end up being cults, right? All these
100%
cults.
of the time.
All of these guys on Netflix, it ends
Yeah,
up
all
being
of 'em.
creepy and sexual.
Yep, all of them.
That's part of it. And I think if you have that kind of power and people, and you've got a steady stream of people walking in your door.
Yeah, and you are also doing this very specific thing where you're choosing the most beautiful people to be in these incredible films.
Hollywood managers who manage kids, it's a racket, man.
Did you hear that kid from
these kids, dude?
that
He's
kid
grooming
from
them
Strange Things?
to suck their-
Stranger Things. He just left his manager, and they're alleging abuse. They just left their agent. See if you can find that. Owen Benjamin.
The curly-haired kid. Oh,
Yeah,
and he's
Owen
in it, too.
Benjamin just put it on his Instagram today because Owen has been taking a lot of heat online because he said that a 3-year-old kid shouldn't be transgender, and people giving him a hard time saying he's a bigot. Like, are you out of your mind? When
What's
you're
up with this
Look at this.
transgender?
Stranger
going on?
Things actor dropped agent because of accused of assault. Disney star follows suit. Jesus Christ. This is nuts,
Watch
man.
an Open Secret, and they go through it. Dude, they're accusing
on?
people. It's for free, I think, on Vimeo.
Yeah, you
can
can
watch
watch
it for
it.
free. An Open
just
Secret.
Just on
Yeah.
YouTube or
On
something.
Vimeo.
You know what Sturgill Simpson told me? He said the same thing exists in music. He
What?
said in music, there's a bunch of those and pederasty
Sure.
music as
The
well.
entertainment business all the way through. Music. This was about.
So-
This is about music and movies and TV. It's about the whole
So
entertainment
it's
business.
women and kids.
Mostly
get abused.
kids.
And
Mostly
sometimes
kids.
dudes. You know, Terry Crews said that he was attacked. Well, not attacked. Some dude grabbed his
Taken from
But
his
some
wife.
famous dude grabbed his. It's the other thing about him it's so crazy is how many photographs of famous people were with him and how many people thanked him when they
Yeah.
won the award.
Of course.
It's so, and how it was this open secret, but it's just like they accepted this deal with the devil. Like the devil's going to make you a star if you suck. And
Yeah.
apparently that's what he would do.
yeah.
Whitney told me that there was girls that she knew rather, that did the deal. And it was a deal. Like he's going to get you in this movie, and they got in the movie. Like he
Right.
would hold up his end of the bargain,
Right.
which is one of the reasons why he was so powerful, because he
Yeah.
really could. He wasn't just everybody.
throughout history,
Throughout
whether
history.
they were kings or what, like human beings are human beings universally. So everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, like these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it. And provided the way for you to to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Right.
For decades, people in Hollywood knew. That's the part that's hardest to sit with. Not that it happened, but that it happened openly, repeatedly, and with enough people aware that it became what insiders called an open secret. And it took the courage of dozens of victims coming forward publicly before the industry was forced to actually reckon with it. This is the story of how Hollywood's power structure enabled abuse for generations, who finally broke the silence, and what it cost the people who tried to walk away. Start with Harvey Weinstein, because his case is the one that cracked everything open. Weinstein co-founded Miramax and later the Weinstein Company. For 3 decades, he was one of the most powerful men in the film industry. He produced films that won Best Picture. He was thanked in more Oscar speeches than almost anyone in history. Celebrities photographed with him. Presidents met with him. He was treated as untouchable because, professionally, he was. What was happening behind that power was documented in detail when the New York Times and the New Yorker published their investigations in 2017. More than 80 women eventually came forward with allegations against him. including rape, sexual assault, and harassment. Multiple women described the same pattern. Private meetings, hotel rooms, offers of career advancement in exchange for compliance. One of the details that emerged from inside his company was the contract structure Joe Rogan described on his podcast. Weinstein's employment contract with his own company had a clause that essentially anticipated misconduct settlements, outlining a tiered financial penalty structure for harassment claims. It started at $100,000 for a first offense and scaled upward. The Weinstein Company board signed off on those terms, which means the institution around him had legally formalized the expectation that he would do this and built a financial cushion around it rather than stopping it. Rogan's point in discussing this was the one that landed hardest. Everyone knew. His agents knew. The studios knew. The people thanking him at awards, shows knew, or chose not to know because their careers were attached to his ability to greenlight films. The silence was not passive. It was active. It was financially incentivized, and it lasted 30 years. Weinstein was convicted of rape and criminal sexual assault in 2020. He was later convicted on additional charges in Los Angeles in 2023. He is serving time in prison. The Weinstein case broke the dam for the broader Me Too movement. Suddenly, the silence that had protected powerful figures across multiple industries became harder to maintain. Stories that people had been sitting on for years started coming out. The entertainment industry's specific version of couchcasting, the trade of sexual compliance for professional opportunity, went from an open secret to a documented public conversation. What Joe Rogan, Tarantino, and others have described in various podcast conversations is a version of this that predates Weinstein. The pattern of producers and executives with private rooms attached to their offices. The understanding among performers of what certain meetings meant. The informal industry knowledge about who was safe and who wasn't. This wasn't a Weinstein invention. He was operating within a structure that had existed for decades. The difference was that he eventually got caught and prosecuted. Diddy's case fits the same pattern in the music industry. Sean Combs faced federal sex trafficking charges in 2024. Civil suits from multiple individuals described patterns of coercion, control, and abuse spanning years. Like Weinstein, he had operated in plain sight, photographed at events, working with major artists, treated as a cultural institution. And like Weinstein, the allegations that eventually became federal charges were things people in certain circles had been quietly aware of for years. R. Kelly operated the same way in music for even longer. His case involved documented abuse of underage victims going back decades. Industry figures knew, labels knew. He continued to record, tour, and appear on major platforms. He was convicted in 2021 on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges and is currently serving a 30-year sentence. The pattern across all three of these cases is identical. Power concentrated in few hands, an industry that depends on access to those hands to advance careers, a culture of silence where speaking out meant professional death. And victims, many of them young, many of them new to the industry, who had no framework for what was happening to them and no safe channel to report it. Joe Rogan's observation about child actors specifically has been one of the most discussed threads in this conversation. He's made the point multiple times that young performers are uniquely vulnerable because they enter the industry without the life experience to recognize manipulation, and because the financial pressure on their families creates as an additional layer of silence. The Open Secret documentary that Rogan referenced explored this directly, interviewing former child actors about what they experienced and what was known about certain figures in the industry. Terry Crews came forward publicly with his own account of being groped by a Hollywood agent at an industry event. He named the individual, went through the professional consequences of speaking out, and eventually testified before Congress about the dynamics of the entertainment industry. His account was significant precisely because he was not a child and not in a position of obvious vulnerability. And it still happened, and he still faced backlash for saying something. Dave Chappelle's decision to walk away from his Comedy Central deal in 2005 has been reframed through this lens by multiple people, including Rogan. Chappelle himself has spoken about it in various interviews over the years. The most detailed being his conversation with Oprah, where he described feeling like he was being deliberately put under stress and that accepting the money would give someone else control over him. His baboon and salt analogy is one of the most quoted things he's ever said publicly. He described feeling trapped, that the money was the salt in the hole, and that being smart enough to let go of it was the only way out of the cage. Whatever the specific circumstances of his departure, and Chappelle has never given a complete account, his description of the entertainment industry's pressure system is consistent with what dozens of other people have described. The money is real. The access is real. The cost is the ability to control your own decisions. Oprah's connection to Weinstein has been discussed in this context primarily because of the photographs and her proximity to him professionally over many years. The fair question, which Rogan and others have raised, is how someone as well connected as Oprah could not have been aware of the rumors. It's a question that applies broadly across Hollywood's senior figures. Oprah has spoken about the Weinstein allegations as a watershed moment and positioned herself as supportive of victims. She has not given a direct account of what she knew or when. The harder and more important question that all of these cases raise together is systemic rather than individual. It's not just about which specific people did what. It's about how an industry structured around access and gatekeeping created conditions where this kind of abuse could persist for generations with near total impunity. The people at the top controlled who got opportunities. The people below them needed those opportunities to build careers. The exchange that operated in that gap, compliance for access, was maintained by everyone in the middle who understood the system well enough to benefit from it while staying quiet about its costs. What changed with Me Too wasn't the abuse, it was the silence. When enough people started talking at the same time, the social cost of silence shifted. The story became harder to suppress because too many people were telling it simultaneously. Weinstein's arrest, Kelly's conviction, Combs' federal charges. None of these happened because the industry self-corrected. They happened because individuals decided the cost of staying quiet was finally higher than the cost of speaking. Whether the underlying structure has changed is a legitimate question. New agreements around set behavior, reporting mechanisms, and legal protections have been implemented across major studios and labels since 2017. Whether those mechanisms actually protect the most vulnerable people, young performers, newcomers without established legal representation or industry relationships, is something that will only be answered over time. What's clear from the documented record of the last decade is that the open secret wasn't a metaphor. It was a description of how the industry actually operated. People knew. And the ones who said nothing while knowing aren't entirely separate from the story. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the entertainment industry has genuinely changed since 2017, or is the structure still fundamentally the same?